If I'm not here tomorrow, I want you to know this, not because I'm afraid, not because I need comfort, not because I'm desperate for someone to remember my name when I'm gone, but because when you reach my age, you understand something most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Words matter most when there may not be another chance to say them. I am 95 years old. Let that settle for a moment. 95 years. Nearly a century of breathing, of watching, of learning lessons the hard way because I was too stubborn to listen when others tried to warn me. At this age, the future stops feeling like a place you're going and starts feeling like a question mark, a fragile, uncertain possibility that may or may not materialize when the sun rises again. When you're young, tomorrow feels automatic. It feels guaranteed. You plan years ahead without thinking twice. You book vacations for next summer. You promise to visit next month. You say, we'll catch up soon, and you actually believe it. At 95, you don't plan. You prepare. I go to sleep knowing there is a real possibility that I won't wake up, that tonight's breath might be the last one my lungs choose to take, that this conversation, this moment, this word might be the final imprint I leave on the world, not in a dramatic way, not with fear gripping my chest or panic racing through my veins, just with honesty, with the kind of clarity that only comes when pretending stops making sense. Death isn't loud at this age. It doesn't shout. It doesn't bang on doors or send warning letters or give you time to prepare speeches. It waits. It sits quietly at the edge of the room like a patient guest who knows you'll be done talking soon. Who doesn't interrupt because interrupting isn't necessary? Who simply exists, calm and certain, at the periphery of every moment. When you're young, death is an idea, a concept, something that happens to other people, in other families, in other countries, at other times. When you're old, death is a presence. It doesn't rush you, but it doesn't leave. It's there when you wake up with joints that ache in new places. It's there when you forget a name you've known for 60 years. It's there in every labored breath, every slow step, every moment your body reminds you that machines don't run forever. I wasn't always aware of this. There was a time decades ago when I believed time was generous, when I believed life would wait patiently, like a kind teacher, until I felt ready to participate fully, until I had saved enough money, until I had proven myself worthy, until the fear subsided and courage arrived on schedule. It didn't. Time doesn't ask if you're prepared. It doesn't send a courtesy email or advance notice. It moves forward whether you're paying attention or not, whether you're ready or not, whether you approve or not. I have buried people who were stronger than me, athletes who could run marathons while I struggled with stairs, people whose bodies were temples while mine was barely a decent shed. I have buried people healthier than me, people who ate organic before it was trendy, who meditated daily, who did everything the experts recommended. I have buried people kinder than me, better people, more generous people, people who volunteered every weekend and remembered everyone's birthday and never said a harsh word, even when harsh words were deserved. They're gone, and I'm still here. And there's no logic to it, no fairness, no system that rewards virtue with extra time. I have watched plans dissolve in a single phone call. We'll do that trip next year. And then next year there's a diagnosis, or an accident, or a heart that simply decides it's done beating. I have seen people say, I'll do it next year, and never reach the next one. I've seen them defer and delay and postpone until postponing became permanent. That's the first thing I need you to understand, and I need you to really hear this. You are not as early as you think, and you are not as late as you fear. But you are much closer to the end than your comfortable illusions allow you to believe. Most people never truly arrive at their own lives. They live in preparation mode, always getting ready, always waiting for conditions to be perfect, always one step away from actually beginning. They rehearse instead of performing. They practice for a show that never opens. They prepare for a life they never actually live. They survive instead of participate. They go through the motions. They check boxes. They fulfill obligations, but they never fully show up, never fully engage, never fully risk being present. They exist inside routines they never questioned. Wake up, shower, coffee, commute, work, commute, dinner, television, sleep. Repeat 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year for 40 years. And then they retire and realize they don't know who they are outside of that routine. They wake up tired, not physically tired, existentially tired, tired of pretending, tired of performing, tired of being someone they're not sure they ever wanted to be. They go to sleep distracted, scrolling, watching, consuming, anything to avoid the uncomfortable silence that asks, was today worth the irreplaceable hours you traded for it? They repeat, and one day, seemingly out of nowhere, but actually quite predictably, they're shocked it's over. I don't want that for you. If I'm not here tomorrow, I need you to hear this clearly, without the politeness that usually softens hard truths. You are living as if you have more time than you do. You postpone conversations because they feel uncomfortable. You avoid saying, I love you, because it feels vulnerable. You don't apologize because it feels like losing. You don't admit you were wrong because it feels like weakness. You delay forgiveness because you want to be right more than you want to be free. You hold grudges like they're valuable. You nurse resentments like they're keeping you warm, but they're not. They're just heavy, and you're carrying them for no reason except that putting them down would require humility. You save joy for later, like it's irresponsible to feel it now. Like happiness is something you earn after decades of suffering. Like laughter needs permission from circumstances. Like peace is only allowed after every problem is solved. It's not. Circumstances will never be perfect. Problems will never all be solved. If you wait for ideal conditions to be happy, you will die waiting. You act like being busy means being important. You confuse motion with progress. You confuse exhaustion with achievement. You wear your stress like a badge of honor and your sleeplessness like a trophy. You act like being exhausted means you're doing something meaningful. Like if you're not overwhelmed, you must not be working hard enough. Like rest is laziness and boundaries are weakness. You're not doing something meaningful. You're just distracted. You're running so fast you can't see where you're going. You're so busy you forgot why you started. I've watched decades disappear that way. Not slowly, quickly, shockingly quickly. I've watched men work themselves into the ground for companies that replaced them without blinking. Men who gave 40 years of their lives to organizations that forgot their names within a month of retirement. Men who sacrificed their health, their marriages, their relationships with their children for quarterly profits that meant nothing to anyone except shareholders who never knew their names. I've watched parents miss their children becoming themselves because they were too tired to look up from their worries, too consumed by bills and schedules and obligations to notice their daughter was becoming a woman or their son was struggling with something he couldn't name. I've watched marriages turn into schedules, then into silence. Couples who once couldn't stop talking now eat dinner in separate rooms. People who once finished each other's sentences now can barely finish a conversation. Love that once felt infinite now feels like a chore neither person wants to do. And everyone told themselves the same lie in slightly different words. This is temporary. Once I get the promotion, things will slow down. Once the kids are older, we'll reconnect. Once we pay off the house, we'll travel. Once. Most of it wasn't temporary. Most of it became permanent. The distance became the relationship. The silence became the norm. The postponed dreams became abandoned dreams. Let me tell you about someone named Thomas. I need you to understand Thomas, because Thomas is most of you 30 years from now, if you don't wake up. Thomas was my colleague for nearly 2 decades. We started at the same company the same month. We were young men then, full of plans and ambition and that particular arrogance of youth that believes time is infinite. Thomas was careful, painfully careful, methodical to the point of paralysis. He believed discipline was the same as wisdom. He believed that if he just followed the rules perfectly, did everything by the book, colored inside every line, life would reward him with safety and certainty. He believed rest was something you earned after proving your worth, not something humans needed, not something necessary for health, but a luxury, a reward for the productive. He would work through lunch, work through weekends, work through holidays, and he was proud of it. He postponed joy like it was dangerous, like laughing too much would somehow curse him, like enjoying the present would jinx the future. He postponed risk like it was irresponsible. He never asked the woman he loved to marry him because he wanted to wait until he had more money saved. He never started the business he dreamed about because he wanted to wait until he had more experience. He never traveled to the places that called to him because he wanted to wait until he retired and had all the time in the world. He postponed life until it felt safe. It never did. Life never feels safe. Not really. Not completely. There's always another thing to worry about, another disaster to prevent, another risk to avoid. Thomas died at 62, not in an accident, not dramatically, not in any of the ways he spent decades worrying about. Just one afternoon on a Tuesday that felt like every other Tuesday, his heart stopped. He was sitting at his desk, probably reviewing a spreadsheet or responding to an email, and his heart simply decided it was done. At his funeral, people said he was reliable, consistent, responsible, the guy who always showed up, the guy who never let anyone down, the guy you could count on. They were right. Thomas was all of those things, but no one said he was alive. No one said he was joyful. No one said he was passionate. No one said he lived fully or loved deeply or took chances or made memories that took your breath away. That haunted me. That haunted me for months. And honestly, it still does, because that's when I understood something most people never say out loud, something that makes people uncomfortable at dinner parties. You can do everything right and still miss your life. You can follow every rule, check every box, meet every expectation, fulfill every obligation, be responsible and reliable and consistent and admired, and still at the end realize you never actually lived. You performed, you executed, you complied, but you never lived. Fear is very good at disguising itself as responsibility. This is crucial. Fear is a masterful liar. It doesn't show up wearing a mask that says, I am fear. It shows up wearing a mask that says, I am being smart. I am being practical. I am being responsible. You tell yourself you're being practical when you don't take the risk, when you don't start the business, when you don't ask her out, when you don't have the difficult conversation. You tell yourself you're being smart when you stay in the job you hate because it's secure, when you stay in the relationship that's dying because change is scary, when you stay in the city you've outgrown because moving feels overwhelming, but really you're avoiding discomfort. You're avoiding the possibility of failure, the possibility of judgment, the possibility of being uncomfortable for a while. You're afraid of being judged, afraid of what your parents will think, what your friends will say, what strangers on the internet will comment, afraid of choosing wrong, afraid of making the mistake that ruins everything, afraid of looking back with regret, afraid of disappointing people who won't be there at the end anyway, People whose opinions won't matter when you're lying in a hospital bed reviewing your life. Let me free you from that. Let me give you the perspective that only comes from being this close to the end. When you're 95, you realize how little most of that mattered, the judgment you feared. Most people weren't even paying attention. They were too busy worrying about their own lives, their own problems, their own fears. The mistakes you avoided, you made different ones, worse ones. The mistake of never trying, the mistake of playing it safe, the mistake of choosing comfort over meaning. No one at the end regrets not answering more emails. I have sat with dozens of dying people. I have never once heard someone say, "I wish I had responded to more messages," or "I wish I had attended more meetings," or "I wish I had been more available to my boss." No one wishes they had been more efficient, more productive, more optimized, more available to systems that didn't care about them. They regret silence, the things they didn't say, the "I love you" they swallowed, the "I'm sorry" they postponed, the "I forgive you" they withheld. They regret distance, the relationships they let die from neglect, the friends they stopped calling, the family members they meant to visit someday. They regret the words they swallowed, the truth they didn't speak, the boundaries they didn't set, the needs they didn't voice. I don't replay my successes anymore. The promotions, the awards, the achievements that once felt so important, they blur together, they lose their shape, they stop meaning anything. What stays sharp are moments, small moments, ordinary moments, moments that seemed insignificant at the time, a look I didn't return. My wife smiled at me across the room at a party, and I was too busy talking to someone important to smile back. I can still see that look. It's been 30 years. I still see it. A hug I rushed. My daughter wanted to be held, and I patted her head and moved on because I had things to do. I remember the feel of her small arms trying to hold on while I pulled away, a conversation I postponed until it was too late. My father wanted to talk about something. I could see it in his eyes. "Later, Dad. I'm busy right now." Later never came. He died 2 weeks after that. I'll never know what he wanted to say. Regret is quiet, but it is precise. It doesn't scream. It doesn't demand attention. It just sits there, sharp and clear, in the background of everything. A constant ache you learn to live with but never stops hurting. If I'm not here tomorrow, I need you to understand this with absolute clarity. Life does not ask for perfection. It asks for presence. It doesn't want you to have all the answers. It doesn't want you to be flawless or optimal or never make mistakes. You don't need to fix the world. You don't need to solve every problem. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to understand everything. Most of life doesn't make sense. Most of it can't be understood. Most of it can only be experienced. You need to show up while you still can. That's it. That's the whole assignment. Show up, be there, be present, pay attention, participate. Most of your suffering is imaginary. The scenarios you rehearse in your head, 90% of them never happen. The disasters you prepare for, most of them never arrive. The catastrophes you lose sleep over, fiction. Most of your fears never happen. The rejection you're afraid of often doesn't come, and when it does, you survive it. The failure you're terrified of usually teaches you more than success ever could. The judgment you're avoiding, most people aren't paying that much attention. Most of what you worry about will not matter at the end. The promotion you didn't get, the argument you lost, the embarrassing thing you said at the party, the weight you haven't lost, the car you couldn't afford, none of it matters. But what you neglect will. This is the part that matters. This is the part that stays. Neglected relationships do not heal themselves. Distance doesn't magically dissolve. Resentment doesn't spontaneously evaporate. Silence doesn't transform into connection. If you don't reach out, if you don't repair, if you don't rebuild, the relationship dies. Slowly, quietly, permanently. Neglected dreams do not wait politely. They don't sit patiently in a corner until you're ready. They fade, they lose their shape, they become what I used to want to do, and then what I should have done, and then just a quiet ache you don't talk about anymore. Neglected time does not come back. This is the one that matters most. Time is the only resource you can't earn more of. You can make more money. You can find new friends. You can change careers. You can move to a new city. But you cannot make more time. What you spend is spent forever. You are trading your life every single day. Every hour you work, you're trading an hour of your life. Every night you spend scrolling, you're trading that night. Every weekend you spend doing things you don't care about, you're trading that weekend. The question is not if you're spending it. You are. Everyone is. Life is spent by living it. The question is, what are you buying with it? Distraction. Are you trading your irreplaceable hours for numbness, for scrolling feeds that make you feel worse, for entertainment that leaves you empty? Approval. Are you trading your life for the validation of people who don't actually know you? For likes from strangers? For the approval of parents who projected their dreams onto you? Safety. Are you trading your life for the illusion of security? For the comfort of routines that make you miserable? For the false promise that if you just play it safe enough, nothing bad will happen? None of those will sit with you when the room gets quiet. When you're lying in a bed at the end and the room is quiet and the distractions are gone, what will you have? The approval. It won't be there. The people whose opinions you lived for won't be in that room. The safety, it won't matter. You are never safe. No one is. Safety is an illusion. The distraction, it will be gone, and you'll be left with the reality of what you did with your time. If I'm not here tomorrow, please understand this with every fiber of your being. No one is coming to give you permission. You keep waiting for someone to tell you it's okay, to tell you it's time, to tell you you're ready, to give you the green light, not your parents. They did their best, but they're figuring it out too. They don't have the answers. They're just older people who are also confused, not society. Society doesn't care about you. Society is not a person. It's a collection of systems designed to extract value from you. It will never give you permission to step outside those systems. Not the right moment. That moment doesn't exist. It's a mirage. The moment you're waiting for keeps moving further away because you're the one moving it. That moment doesn't exist. There's only now and your courage to meet it. This breath, this day, this hour, this is all you have. This is all anyone has. And you can spend it waiting for better circumstances, or you can spend it living. I want to leave you with what took me decades to learn, what I paid for with years of regret and missed opportunities and relationships I let die. First, stop waiting to feel ready. Readiness is a myth. It's a lie your fear tells you to keep you stuck. I'll do it when I'm ready. You'll never be ready. No one is ever ready. Life is lived mid-step, mid-fear, mid-uncertainty. You don't wait until the fear is gone. You act while afraid. You don't wait until you're certain. You move while uncertain. You don't wait until conditions are perfect. Perfect conditions never arrive. Second, protect your attention. This is the most important currency you have. Not money, not time. Attention. What you give your attention to becomes your life. If you give it to noise, to outrage, to comparison, to things that don't matter, you'll feel empty, agitated, exhausted, disconnected. If you give it to what matters, to people you love, to work that fulfills you, to moments of beauty and connection, you'll feel alive. Your attention is where you live. Choose carefully where you direct it. Third, say the things you're afraid to say. Love spoken late still hurts. I should have told her I loved her. I should have told him how much he meant to me. It's better to say it late than never, but the regret of waiting is a special kind of pain. Silence never protects you from regret. You think not saying it will hurt less. It doesn't. The things you don't say hurt more. They echo louder. They last longer. Say the hard things. Say I was wrong. Say I'm sorry. Say I love you. Say I need help. Say them while the person can still hear them. And finally, remember this. Remember this when you're tempted to wait, to postpone, to play it safe. You are going to die, not to scare you, not to be morbid, to wake you up. This is not a threat. It's a fact. The most certain fact you have. You will die. Everyone you know will die. Everyone you love will die. Death is not the enemy. Death is neutral. Death is inevitable. Death is the punctuation mark at the end of the sentence of your life. A life unlived is the enemy. A life spent waiting is the enemy. A life spent performing for people who don't care is the enemy. A life spent accumulating things that don't matter is the enemy. Dying while never having truly lived, that's the tragedy. I am 95 years old. My body is weak. My hands shake when I try to hold a cup. My legs barely carry me across the room. My breath is shorter. Some mornings it takes minutes to catch my breath after sitting up in bed. My nights are longer. I don't sleep like I used to. I lie awake, reviewing, remembering, regretting, and celebrating in equal measure. I don't know if I'll be here tomorrow. Tomorrow is not guaranteed to me. It never was. But now the uncertainty is impossible to ignore. But I know this. It is not too late for you. Whatever age you are, whatever situation you're in, whatever mistakes you've made, it's not too late. Unless you keep waiting, unless you keep postponing, unless you keep telling yourself someday, unless you keep trading your present for a future that may never come. If I'm not here tomorrow, don't mourn me. Don't cry at my funeral. Don't say nice things about me that you never said to me. Don't wish you had spent more time with me. Use me. Use this moment. Use these words. Use this uncomfortable feeling in your chest right now. Use this moment to step fully into your life. Not tomorrow. Not when conditions are better. Not when you're ready. Now. Don't die with your words unsaid. Tell the people you love that you love them. Have the hard conversations. Apologize for the things you regret. Say the truth you've been swallowing. Don't die with your love unspent. Give it away. All of it. Don't save it. Don't ration it. Don't wait for people to earn it. Love is not diminished by giving it. It's diminished by withholding it. Don't die waiting. Waiting for permission, waiting for readiness, waiting for safety, waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting. Go live. Live imperfectly. Live messily. Live scared. But live. Live with your whole heart while you still have one that beats. Because I'm 95 years old, and I'm telling you from the edge of everything, this is it. This is your life, not the one you're planning for, not the one you'll live someday. This one, right now, don't waste it.